Howdy, on Moglax Lives. I think it's time we play a little 7 Days to Die. It's a lot of spinny blades down there. Alright, well, I got one more to place, and then that should be my blades in place. I also have some cement, so I'm going to cement the bottom of these couple of pillars here that haven't been cemented yet. That's my plan. At least to get started today. Although I'm going to wait until the blades shut down here. Wow, wow, wow. There we go. Yeah, that's better. Uh, the problem is that there's no. I'm pretty sure these things are three wide. Oh no, they're yeah, three wide, and my little path in here is two wide. But I'm gonna have to dig this out a little bit. Just a little bit. At least these blocks aren't like insanely strong, so not like these guys over here. I forgot about that sledgehammer thing. It's so goofy. Managed to kill a bear last time between the sledgehammer thing and the blade traps here. Alright. Yep. I guess that's where we put it. I should probably take this. I'm honestly not sure. Now, I'm looking at this. Yeah, that's got to be chopped up there and chopped up there, so we're good. I'm still gonna finish taking this out though. So I'm working on this stuff today. I thought I'd talk about spoilers involved. Tomorrow War. That was a weird pause. So watch the Tomorrow War, the new Chris Pratt movie. It was okay as a whole. Um, I there's definitely gonna be some spoilers because I don't understand the thought process, I guess, behind choices in scenes that are included in movies anymore. I don't get why some of the things that get added into movies are added into movies when they don't really have anything to do with the movie. Um, and so I don't. I mean, this is a spoiler because it's part of the storyline of the movie, but it's also like nothing to do with what happens in the movie. So they got this weird theme running through the movie. Um, and there's not a lot of it. There's just some. And so, how much more? Whoops. Will you stop punching this? I'm hitting right click trying to open this. I'm not playing Minecraft. Um, so, the Tomorrow War, okay? It's about um, people from the future come back into the past to get uh, help. Please don't collapse. Uh, help from the past to um, whoops. Oh, there's just a hole there? Well, that's scary. Why was there just a hole there? Um, to fight against an alien invasion. Okay, fine. I don't have a problem with that. It's not a big deal. That's just what the movie's about. I'm okay with that. It was a fun sci-fi movie mostly. In fact, some of it was quite excellent sci-fi movie. Um, and so I was pretty pleased with Act Two. Act Two was very good. Um, but in Act Two, Act Three, Act One, because they're very distinctive separators in this movie. Um, oh no, I guess I could just punch her. She's just her, so get her before she screams. Oh, okay. I'm going to the gun. We've got creatures coming in for some reason. Um, jeez. And I like a good sci-fi and all that, but for some reason they threw in this estranged father storyline that had nothing to do with what happened in the movie at all. At all. If you cut every scene out of that movie that had to do with estranged fathers, it wouldn't change the movie at all. Like you could just cut the scenes and not change the dialogue, and it wouldn't make any difference to the movie. So I don't understand why that stuff is in there. It didn't impact the characters' personalities. It didn't it was a weird off kilter focus to me that just did not fit the rest of the movie. I just didn't understand the point. So so here's a weird thing I felt happened in the movie. The movie opens with a party. Um and Chris Pratt, I don't remember what his character's name is. He goes outside to take a phone call about a job. So immediately I'm thinking, oh, he doesn't have a job, and um, they establish that he's ex-military in the phone call, and that he doesn't have civilian experience, and so the company has decided to go with somebody else. I'm like, okay, so now we've established Chris Pratt is an ex-soldier who has excellent soldier qualifications, but has not had a job working in the civilian arena. Got it. And yes, this does have something to do with uh, the estranged father stuff, I guess. Um, honestly, honestly, I believe the point of that scene is to establish that he's not happy with his life. But no other scene in the whole rest of the film has anything to do with that. Uh, the closest we get is that in the future, he is told that he leaves his family. But there is no evidence anywhere else in the movie of anything like that at all. So it was weird. It was weird. And I'm like, okay, okay. Now, uh, let's preface this, I guess, with a little bit of I read DC Comics, okay? And there's a couple of weird events that took place in the Green Lantern comics that I just did not understand. And that's two of the Green Lanterns who are. Green Lanterns are basically the universe police. And so they work for the Green Lantern organization. And um, they're assigned sectors of space they're supposed to patrol, like police officers. And for whatever reason, the people who write the Green Lantern comics decided that both there's a lot of Green Lanterns from Earth for some reason, and two of the main Green Lantern characters at the time both had issues getting jobs on Earth. I'm like, well, that's a weird thing. Like, they work for the Green Lantern Corps. They're almost never on Earth. Why are they trying to get jobs on Earth? And, like, Green Lanterns don't hide who they are necessarily. Some of them do, but some of them don't. And these two in particular don't. And so everybody knew they were Green Lanterns. Um, and so, like, the one guy tried to get a job as a assistant basketball coach at a high school, and I'm just like, how is that gonna work? You're not dependable. You have to fly off into outer space. At least the other guy was an architect, but then his story was like he got a job as an architect, and then the company wanted him to cut corners, and he wouldn't cut corners, so he quit the job. And I'm just like, I don't understand. And then, and then it gets even weirder because uh, the dude who wouldn't cut corners, is not just a Green Lantern. He's the leader of the Green Lanterns. I think he might be too busy to be an architect on Earth. I'm just saying. And then the other guy who tried to get a job as an assistant basketball coach, turns out he runs a bar on the home planet of the Green Lanterns. And I'm just like, when is he ever going to have time to be an assistant basketball coach? Why is this in this comic? It doesn't make any sense. Uh anyway, so so when I don't know if I've just become highly critical of this kind of stuff, but it just strikes me as odd every time I come across it. And so this is one of those instances, right? Like if if the story for Chris Pratt had stopped there about his work stuff, then I could understand that he's like why he would want to go fight in a future war because he has no prospects on Earth, right? He tried to get the job and he didn't get the job because he doesn't have the civilian, experience that they were looking for and all that. But then like the next scene, he's a high school teacher. He teaches science in a high school. Like he has a job. I'm not saying he can't look for another job, but they were acting like, you know what, you just have no experience outside the military, and then he's a high school teacher. Like, you have to be qualified for that stuff. So obviously he has experience in the real world. I So that was weird. And then somewhere in there they brought up the fact that he doesn't talk to his father just randomly. Um, and and then there's a scene where he goes to see his father. Like he's like, I don't talk to my father, and then like he goes to talk to his father, and there wasn't a reason for it that I remember. Um, oh, I'm sorry, there was a reason for it. I take that back. I take that back. So they so I'm just like, okay, so this movie is not great so far. That's what I had decided. I'm like, I thought this was gonna be. I mean, I wasn't expecting a lot from it because it looks like a B sci-fi kind of movie, and so it wasn't very good at the beginning, and then I mean, right at the beginning they come back in time and they're like, we're your descendants from the future, we're fighting a war that we're losing, we need you to come help us. And then they're like, we send forward uh 50% of the military, and and they only 20% of them came back. And I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, okay. And then like, and then the entire world's governments agreed that they had to send people to the future to fight in this war. And I'm like, okay. And then there's no prep. Like they don't build fortresses, they don't make new weapons, they don't train people to be soldiers, they don't arm the civilians. Nothing. They just send people into the future. That's it. That's their whole preparation for something they know is coming in 30 years is to do nothing. Uh, on top of that, they know where it starts. They know where it starts, and they do nothing. And I'm like, no, no. If you know where it starts, then you should be building like fortresses and putting military there and Stuff like that. Like, what do you mean you know where it starts and you're not prepping? We're just going to send people forward. What is going on in my queue that I can't do anything? Those dang radiators, I tell you, they take too long. And so I wasn't really digging this movie at the beginning for sure. And then when they explain, well, I don't think they ever actually explain, but what it appears to me that's going on is they scan future records and then they're sending people forward after the military gets wiped out, right? That they send forward. They decide to institute a draft, and the people they draft are people who are going to die before the invasion. Who I assume they don't say it, but I assume it's people who are going to die before the invasion who also don't have necessarily an impact on the future. Although, I mean, it doesn't work that way, so they're playing really loose with what's going on in this movie outside of what they do. Like, no prepping in the past at all. And then they draft these people. Now, it's time travel, uh, and so they established that the way their time travel works is that once so I believe it's I just heard about this the other day. I'm sure I've heard about it before, but there's a theory that time travel can only exist from the moment that time travel is discovered, and so you can't time travel into the past beyond the point where time travel is first invented. And so I don't know if that's their particular thing, but they established that they set up their gateway, and their gateway is 30 years, and it can only, and it works in real time. So they send people to the future, and then in the future and the past, they have to wait until the teleporter charges back up, I guess. I don't know. And apparently that takes 7 days. So every 7 days they send people forward and they send people back. And so your tour, I guess, of duty in the future is 7 days, but they're only bringing back like 30% of the people that go forward. Everybody else dies. Um, and So, I mean, they got 7 days, although they did do some emergency teleportations. So, I guess that's not true. It must just be a schedule thing. I don't know. Uh, and so I like that I dug a hole so I didn't have to crawl back through one of these. And then the very next episode, I decided to crawl back through one of these. Uh, but yeah, so they don't give them any training really, and they draft them, which makes no sense. Like, if you've got the draft, you could start drafting people and start training people and have them trained, and not just be like, yeah, you're going now, buddy. You got 7 days to learn how to handle a gun, and and then the people they send are, like I said, people who are going to die before the invasion happens. And so they're not even, like, for the most part, people who would survive in the first place. So they're just sending people to die at that point. old people, sick people, overweight people, you know, uh, people who aren't um, mentally prepared to fight in a war, people, uh, and and then they just throw them in. And so I'm like, okay, so this is weird. This is weird that there's no like nobody thought about prepping anything or anybody, and they just like hand him a gun like the one that's in my hands here, and give him a couple of clips, and then send him forward, and then they go forward, and so the group follows. Of course, Chris Pratt is the star of the show, so it follows him as he gets sent forward, and they have to do an emergency jump because their research facility is under attack by the aliens, and so they get told they're going to appear 5 to 10 feet above the ground, and but then they have to do the emergency jump, and while they're jumping, things go wrong, and because it's a movie, and so they don't appear 5 to 10 feet above the ground. They appear pretty high above the ground, uh, over top of a skyscraper rooftop swimming pool. And so some of the people, I assume, probably go over the side. And some of the people fall and break things and stuff like that. Chris Pratt falls into the swimming pool part. Uh, and and then we get to another part that I was just like, what? So they have in the future, they have taken, I don't know how, but they have taken um like cruise ships and placed them on pillars around a oil uh, derrick out in the ocean, and then that is surrounded by um, walls and stuff. Now, I don't have a problem with the walls and stuff or the being out in the ocean or any of that. It's it's the ships up on the pillars was weird. Even that I don't have a problem with. What I did find weird was that they teleported them to downtown Miami, and downtown Miami looks like a post-apocalyptic city. Like chunks of the skyscrapers are missing, and things are on fire, and that's where their research facility is. And I'm like, you have a defensible fortress where your main operations are. Why is your research lab in alien controlled territory? I don't know. I don't know. It just was. And so they get through all that, and then there's like a big Michael Bay style explosion scenes as they're running from the aliens, and the planes are flying over, dropping bombs, and then that was the end of Act One, right? Now I'm not gonna go into too much detail. I know I got a little farther in detail in Act One than I had planned, but there was a lot in Act One that I questioned as to why it was. So I did miss the part. They put this thing on your arm that like is drilled through your arm, and so he's I think his wife says they're gonna run instead of him being drafted, and he's like, what am I supposed to do with this? And it's not like I know people who could get rid of this. And then she's like, there is somebody you do know. And so his estranged father is a conspiracy rich uh prepper guy, I guess. I mean, they don't really establish him as a character other than he's in a hangar and he does mechanical things and he believes the government's coming for him. Um, and so he has the knowledge and ability to remove the arm thing, um, but they don't. I don't remember why they don't, but him and his father, I think, fight a little bit, and then he just leaves, and so that established that they're estranged. He hasn't talked to his father, right? And I don't know. And then, oh, I need my stuff back. Thank you. And then, I wonder if I could make a new one of these axes and pickaxe that's not like a level 1 deal. And so the second part, though, the second act, when he so the first act ends with him basically jumping away from an explosion, and then the um, act 2 starts with him waking up in the base in I think it was Puerto Rico, and um, and then they do the middle part, which is awesome. For an action, creepy alien horror sci-fi segment, it was really, really good, and there wasn't too much in there that I didn't enjoy, except the part where they just throw in, oh yeah, you leave the family, and just out of the blue, you leave the family. You've been shown that you love your family, that you do anything for your family, but you leave your family. Like 2 years after these events. Like if these events had never happened, you'd have left your family 2 years later, even though you have a job. And all we've shown is that you don't get along with your father, and you didn't get the job you applied for. Obviously, that establishes that you're so unhappy with your life that you can't stay with your family. I guess. Um, and then part 3 goes back to being kind of like the first part. Um, so, major spoiler. Uh, they because it is an action sci-fi movie, but major spoiler, they lose the teleporter in the future, but they come back to the past with a plan on stopping the aliens. Only the past they come back to um, goes insane for some reason because now they can't teleport to the future, so everybody's rioting. I don't understand. The military's not prepping for the future still, uh, which I just couldn't get over that nobody was prepping for this end of the world event. And uh, okay, so he's a high school teacher, and they have a kid who's all about volcanoes, and they're talking about how everything's not volcanoes, and the kid's like, "Oh, I love volcanoes," and so they discover ash on a claw that one of the guys has, and so they go to the volcano kid because the volcano kid will know how ash from China got on a claw from a creature from Russia. And so because of that, they figure out exactly where the aliens come from, and then the military won't do anything about it, and they don't even like try to talk to the Russians about the information they have. They bring back a this is more major than I wanted to reveal, but they bring back a thing that will let them stop the aliens, but it has to be mass produced, and and like they just let him leave with it. Like nobody cares. There's like, oh well, we lost contact with the future. I'm like, yeah, it's the future. Obviously, you can change it. Um, so why aren't ya? And but they don't. They don't. They they just go on with their riding, and nobody cares that he has the thing that they need, and so he gets it produced secretly by some people in the military, and then they're gonna take it to Russia secretly because you know, world-ending event, nobody's gonna help, and so he has to go back to his father, and and then they go to Russia and they do the thing, and then the movie's over. Uh, it's it's not bad, uh, but it definitely um, lacked in scenes that made sense to me. Some of the scenes, it was just it was crazy to me. Like, why did they do this whole thing where he supposedly leaves his family? Like, it didn't it didn't have anything to do with the story. Uh, why was he estranged from his father? It didn't have anything to do with any part of the story. Um, the father character didn't even need to be in there. He was in the like okay, he's in the military. He was in the military. He's apparently a combat search and rescue uh platoon commander or something like that. Um, so we already established that there's a good chance he has high-end military contacts. So he doesn't need to have an estranged father. He could just meet one of his old platoon people, right? Um, I have so much junk. Okay, let's see. I can get rid of those, I guess. I guess I can throw out pasta. I don't even use stun baton, so I don't know why I'm worried about that. We'll drink this goldenrod tea, just get it out of my inventory. And, but yeah, so there was definitely some weirdness, that I did not understand their choices. It just, why? Uh, why is he a high school teacher if he doesn't have civilian experience? I mean, they didn't even really establish, I believe, what the job was for. So, uh, but I don't know. It just like I really liked the middle of that movie. That second act was excellent. For I mean, obviously, it's not the greatest thing I've ever seen, but it was a lot of fun. The aliens were kind of cool. It was exciting. Like, you know, uh, I felt excitement toward what was happening in the movie. It's what you want from that kind of movie, and then it was just like all the other parts are weird. I probably could get by without this meat, I guess. All right, did I get everything from this place? But yep, if you like that kind of stuff, definitely check it out. Just, it's a strange one. At the beginning and end. Middle, excellent. All right, with that, be better in the small things, lean in the light, and I will talk to you later.